so I've been meaning to film this video for so long now. My baby's 3 months old, so it was about time that I filmed this video. First off, I want to start with a disclaimer. My baby does not sleep in his crib, so no, I don't have all these teddy bears sleeping with him. That's very not recommended by health professionals. And disclaimer number 2, I am not a doctor, I'm not a doula, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a birth expert at all. I will give you resources, I'll give you places to find people that are qualified to talk about this. I'm going to talk about my story and what I did that helped me. I don't want to make anyone feel like if they didn't give birth the same way that I did, that they are not, that it's not okay, because we all have different bodies, we all have different situations going on that will affect the way we're going to give birth. And that's really important to note that I'm not a health professional at all, and I'm simply sharing my story in order to inspire anybody that needs it. And I know I needed it. I needed healthy, positive birth stories, and I want to put mine out there so that if anyone wants that, they have access to it. I think it just helps to bring more positive birth stories into the narrative, because there's so many negative ones, or at least I know that a lot of people around me would only hear the negative ones, and when I share my positive one, they get really excited. I should be excited for birth, so I'm sharing my story. I am excited to give birth again. I would do it again. So here is my story, and I hope that it inspires you. So we had to put the baby down. That's done. So I will give you guys my story, my birth story. So I'll explain that shortly. I'm looking over here at my computer because I don't want to forget. I want to give you 3 points that are, well, 2 points that are important, and then my birth stories. First point that's really important is to educate yourself. Educate yourself either with having a birth doula, so you can have a doula, you can have a midwife. You can also look online, you can look at Google, you can look at YouTube. There are so many people who have shared their birth story on YouTube. You can also look at certain nurses or doulas have their YouTube channels. I used 2 main channels, so one's a nurse and the other one is a doula, so it's really interesting. I'll share all the resources I used down below. The first thing is to educate yourself, and a lot of us think we go to the hospital, we give birth, and they take care of you. It's like a hotel, you check in and they do everything for you. But honestly, you need to know what's going to happen during your birth, and your doula is the most qualified person to let you know whether they're going to ask you what's going to happen at the hospital. I think it's different, maybe a little bit everywhere. I'm in Canada, so when you go to the hospital, there's certain things that happen and certain things that they ask you that you should know what you want to answer. So you get prepared in advance, let's say for, I don't know, for the vitamin K, for shots, all these things that can happen during your birth. You need to know what you want to do. You can know all the methods that they will offer to you at the hospital if you're going to the hospital, or if you're going to a maison de naissance or a birth home. At the hospital, there's a lot of different things that you can do, such as epidural. You could do they can do Pitocin, all these things that may happen during your birth. You want to know so you're prepared and ready to answer in accordance to what you want. Educate yourself as much as possible. Look online if you don't have a doula, or get a doula if you have that privilege. We were so lucky to invest in that, and it really helped my partner to understand what was going to happen in birth and how he was going to be able to assist me in the birth. And it also helped me to know how he was going to help me, because of course I'm giving birth, I'm in labor, but how is he going to be there for me, and how can I lean on him? And he knew what his role was, so I was able to fully lean on him during the whole birth, and it was insane. We were so happy with how it turned out. Really important to note that the hormones that they give you at the hospital, so like Pitocin and all these things that they can give you at the hospital during birth to help you progress, help your contractions, and all these things, your body produces naturally. So the most easy example to remember is oxytocin, Pitocin. Pitocin is an imitation of oxytocin, and in order to give birth and to progress and for you to dilate more and all of that stuff, you need oxytocin. So sometimes you're going to stop dilating because you're in a stressful situation. I'll explain a little bit more about that afterwards, how to not be in a stressful environment. But if you're in a stressful environment, your body will stop producing oxytocin and it will stop you from progressing in labor. So that means that they'll give you Pitocin sometimes to help you progress. So that's one of the things that you should know. There's also beta endorphins, which make you feel like you're on another planet. Like literally, that's how I felt throughout my contractions. And then I would come back in my body, and then I felt out of my body, back in my body. These hormones are in your body, and they're there to help you get through labor. Your body has everything it needs, unless there's things that are distracting it. It has everything you need. I felt fully high during my labor, especially at the end. I felt like I was on a lot of drugs, but I was not on any drugs at all. So there's beta endorphins, And there's just a lot of hormones, look it up, it's very interesting, that come into play and that help you to give birth. So help you to relax, help you to dilate, all of these things. So it's really, really interesting. The story I really want to share that's helped me a lot to know that I needed to create a safe birthing environment, and that it wasn't just woo-woo, in the sense that I would see a lot of YouTube videos saying, here are your candles for the hospital and the scents and the blankets. And I was like, what the hell do you need when you're in labor? You don't need all this stuff. But yes, I did need all this stuff. And the reason is that if you imagine a deer giving birth in nature, she's in nature, she feels safe, and a wolf shows up. She's gonna stop giving birth, her body's gonna stop producing everything it needs, and it's gonna flight. That's how you feel when, let's say, you're out of your element. Sometimes people go to the hospital and they stop progressing because they're in a new environment. Even though they know that it's the doctor coming in, it's a nurse coming in, the body does not know that, so it feels threatened and it stops giving birth and it slows down. This really helped me and my partner understand that we needed to create a safe birthing environment, and he knew that he needed to protect that around me. So he was like my person, and he was making sure that the perimeter and everything around me felt safe so that I could keep progressing in my labor. And he helped me so much, and I never went backwards. I just like progressed really well. Number 2 is to shift your beliefs and your mindset about birth. So we have beliefs, mindsets about birth in accordance to what people around you share with you and tell you, according to what your mom tells you, your girlfriends, your family members. All these things affect how you see birth. Movies as well, so movies and pop culture, all of that stuff affects how you see birth. You need to shift those in order to make sure that you give the birth that you want. You need to decide what's possible for you. Hopefully with what I'm sharing today, you can see that that's possible for you, and you need to believe that that can happen for you, and that's what you want. So you need to shift your belief around birth. Absolutely. Mind over matter, 100%. I think that that's how I was able to have a good experience and give natural birth, was my mind. So I was really seeing this throughout my whole pregnancy as training for a marathon. The day of birth was my marathon, and I knew that I had to train going up to that, and then I'll have my marathon, my birth, and then after it's done and we're done. I was able to understand that and believe in that, and believe that it was gonna come, it's gonna go. It's stressful. Like if you're going to run your marathon, you're stressed out beforehand, but you know that when it's gonna come, you're ready. You trained as much as you could for it. Your mind, you trained your body for it. You trained, and then you're ready. It's gonna happen, and then it's gonna go, and you will go move on. Something that I used a lot was hypnosis. So I was listening to hypnobirthing meditation before bed. So I was putting myself to sleep with that every night. My idea is that that was reprogramming my subconscious the right way to believe that I would have a really great experience. I was doing a lot of meditations in the morning. I have a whole bunch that I found to help with birth and to like rewire your subconscious once again. So I'll share those below. And literally to just be open to all possibilities. So my goal was to give birth at the hospital, not birthing home, because I wanted to feel like there was no pressure. In my mind, if I was giving birth at a birthing home, I would have to go natural 100%, go one way all the way, and there'd be no flexibility. For me to give birth at the hospital, and I was mainly at home, I'll explain that, but then being at the hospital as well, I felt like I had everything at my disposal if anything was to happen with me or the baby. So that made me feel safe. So you have to listen to yourself. I went to the hospital and gave a full natural birth at the hospital because I knew that if I was there, I would feel safe. My mind, everything, my mindset, I needed to be there to feel safe and to feel like all the options were there. I didn't use them and I didn't plan on using them, but to know that they were there made me feel safe. So that's why I went with that option. It's really important to just stay open to all possibilities. I think that the openness will help you literally give birth. I'm literally pausing between my points to breathe because I talk fast, I know. And I'm excited about this subject and I don't want to mess it up, and I have so many things to say. So we were talking about mind over matter and training your mind. I for sure did that as much as I could, anywhere, anytime I needed it. When I had like doubts creeping up, I would listen to meditations to like help me calm down because I was scared too. Everyone says how horrible it is. Of course, I was anticipating like this huge, intense, life-changing event. So I was definitely anticipating it. I trained my mental, I trained my body as well. So I kept working out and stayed in movement my whole pregnancy. I was able to do that because I have an osteopath that was amazing. So osteopath is also something that I used in order to give birth naturally. And he was helping me to make sure that I didn't have a pain that I had a pain starting 17 weeks. He made sure that that was okay so I could keep moving and working out, because if not, I would not be walking. Like 17 weeks, I had like too much relaxant. So my hips were opening really wide and the baby was not even a baby, like a big baby. It was just my stomach was pushing down and it was really hurting. I couldn't walk. So osteopath 100% helped me. He also helped me place the baby, make sure the baby was in position when I was giving birth. So they can help with a lot of different things. Definitely go see them. I could also breathe better because of him. Anyways, I can talk about that more in another video. I won't ramble too much, but that really helped. Point number 3 is to decide what your birth story is going to be and to believe it. So put it on paper, look at it, embrace it, believe that it could happen to you, and just go for it. I swear I did not give my birth plan, so I made a beautiful birth plan. I can share with anyone who wants it. I really don't mind. So I made my birth plan with logos to bring to the hospital so they knew what I wanted, and I did not use it, and every single thing on my birth plan happened. Okay, so my birth story. So I literally progressed for 3 weeks, meaning I started dilating and I forgot the word in English, dilation and effacement. I don't have the term, sorry, I'll write it here if I have it. So dilation and effacement, I started doing those a little bit like 3 weeks prior to my to giving birth. So I progressed for like a full 3 weeks. So like I would have contractions at night, sometimes in the morning, and they would be like, I would time them, so they would be almost 5 minutes but not 5 minutes apart. And I think all these contractions were like helping me and getting me ready to give birth, but they were not the real thing. So they were all like a lot of times when I was going to bed or in the middle of the night, because once again, oxytocin, you're relaxed at night, so your body's preparing, and contractions can happen, especially when you're laying down and you're resting, because that's when your body feels the safest to be giving birth. So I was progressing that way for a couple of weeks. I was slowly losing my mucus plug. Worst word in the world, please change that word, whoever has the power to. It's disgusting. But yeah, so it's just like a plug that's there to like keep your baby in, and you slowly lose it, or you can lose it all at once. So I was losing it over a couple of days, and then one morning I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I started having contractions the whole morning, and they were less than 5 minutes apart. So we were timing them. I was like, oh my god, I think this is the real thing. I was texting my doulas like I did every time I had contractions. That's why they're amazing. They're there for you. So I say 2 because I had 2 that I was talking to, but only one comes to your birth. They just interchange if ever one needs to go home and your labor is super long or anything like that. So I was texting my doulas, and they were telling me like, okay, like it doesn't seem like labor just yet. You've had contractions over the past 3 weeks, so let's just wait it out and see what happens. And after saying that, like my contractions slowed down and I didn't have any anymore. So I was like, okay, I'll just rest. Let me go to sleep. Let me try to relax, because if it's the real thing and it's coming, then I need to be ready and I need to be relaxed. So I was relaxing. I was trying to go to sleep, but I would still have contractions, so it was uncomfortable. And then ding dong, I get a package at the door. So my baby, a baby thing that comes at the door. So I go down, I get my package, I walk up my steps, and I have a huge contraction. Like that one was like not like the other ones that I had during the night or the morning. Like this one was really intense, and I was like, oh my god, okay. So I keep going up my steps after that contraction, where I'm like trying to breathe through it and like just experiencing that for the first time. I put down the package and I have another one. So I have to like lay over, I have an instinct to like bend forward over my couch. I have another contraction, and then I'm like, okay, that was super intense. That hurts. Ow, what the hell? I can't do this. Like if this is what a contraction is, and I'm gonna have contractions like this for like how many, God knows how many hours, I can't do that. So I text my doula. I'm like, oh my god, I had really intense contractions, less than 5 minutes apart, and that was really intense. And she's like, okay, Hope, those are intense, like they're less than 5 minutes. Get into your environment. Stop being scared. Like just get into your environment. Do what we decided and what we talked about, and text me how it's progressing. So I'm like, okay, I'll get into my environment. I call my mom. My mom is like, Hope, if this is it, release your ego. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to stop controlling everything. I need to just like get into the mood, get into the flow with what's happening, and like just go with it. So that really helped me, my doula and my mom being like, Hope, your ego this time has to go out the window. So I literally go to my room. It's 2 p.m. at this time, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It's sunny. My partner's at a meeting with his job, so he's working, and I'm alone. I'm like, okay, I think this is the real thing. Let me like set up my environment. I put music on. Like I didn't even have a playlist ready. I just Spotify'd labor playlist, and I found one with so many of my favorite songs, so it was making me really happy. So that's what I did. I put that on. My boyfriend had painted the room. Don't worry, I didn't sleep in it. So he had painted the room the week before and had taken down the curtains. So I had no more curtains, and it was bright, sunny. and I was like, okay, I need darkness. Like I was craving darkness. So I get up on the radiator to put like anything in front of the window. Everything was falling down. I was having contractions in the window. It was like a sight to see. So I was standing in the window. I finally get something that's not too heavy and that will like stay and bring like put darkness over in the room. And then I get my birthing ball, like a yoga mat, because I felt like being on the floor on my birthing ball. So I get on my birthing ball. I was on my knees the whole time holding the birthing ball like this. Like I literally listened, like my doula has told me, listen to how your body wants to be, and your body knows the positions that it's going to be comfortable in. So I listened to it. I was on my knees the whole time, basically like with my arms like this, just rolling and breathing. And at the beginning of my contractions, like all my first contractions, even though they weren't like, it wasn't like as intense as the one at the end where you would like, let's say, change your breathing. I started my breathing techniques the first contractions. So the first 2 contractions I was like, hell no, I need an epidural, I'm not doing this. And then when I got into my environment and in the vibe and like the lighting and my music and all of that, and I got a thing to cover my eyes, my blanket, all of this, like my environment, I made it to feel comfortable. And the breathing, my contractions were bearable, and I was like, oh, I can totally do this. And I was able to like get through them with my breathing. So the breathing that I was doing is a technique that is, I don't know the name, again, I'm not a professional, so I'll share that below, but the one I was using the most is like the kind of moaning one where it's like deep belly breathing. So imagine when you're at yoga and you're doing like that, you're like, it's from the deepest part of your belly. That's what I was using for every contraction. So I was doing that breath through every contraction and just chilling in between. So I had already texted my partner at this point and he was coming home because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is it, like it's starting, everything. And so he gets here, he's in the bedroom with me, like trying to set the tone. He spoke to the doula. She's like, help her stay in her zone, help her stay in like the right mood. So I'm a chatterbox, obviously, that's why I'm filming this video. I love to chat. And my partner was like, Hope, you need to stop talking between your contractions. You're supposed to be in the mood. And I swear till the end of my birth, between every contraction, I was fully chatting. That's just me. So it made me happy. So in my contraction, I was really in the zone, eyes closed, doing my breathing, covering my eyes, closing them in darkness. But between my contractions, I was fully fine. And that's something that really helped me for mindset, is that I was sure that between contractions, you have no pain. And for me, like, that's such a plus. Like, okay, I'm gonna have a really intense minute of a contraction, but between those, I'm gonna have 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and it goes like that. But that really motivated me to know that, yeah, you have this really intense moment, but then you have a break. Intense moment, break, intense moment, break, and then at the end you have your baby. So that was really good for me to like get through it. And I also knew that it's gonna be a day, 2 days, whatever it is. Some people, it's really long labors. So I was able to know, like, okay, I have, like, it's gonna last this long, it's gonna be over after, like, this is really intense feelings, but you know it's gonna go away. So how easy is that to get through? Like, just shift your mindset. So that was really helpful for me. I had a goal to stay at home as long as possible. I was literally in my bath most of the time. So I did my first contractions in my room, how I set it up with the music, like I told you guys. And then I was like, okay, I feel like I need to go to the bathtub. I'll be really comfortable. And yeah, so I was in a bathtub at home for maybe like 3 hours. During that time, my mom and my sister arrived. So I had decided in advance that I wanted women around me. So I wanted like strong feminine energy. For me, I don't know, I felt like that would motivate me and help me like ground myself and feel like, okay, like I'm with other women, there's womanhood and all of that, and it would help me to give birth. And it totally did. So they were in the washroom with me, I was in the bathtub, and my partner was also with us, and I felt like I was really safe around them, and it helped me to progress really, really quickly, I think. So my sister, I gave her the task, she's younger than me, I gave her the task to time my contractions, so I didn't have to do that anymore, and she was just observing me and timing them, and she was just like surprised by everything that was happening, because it's really impressive to see like someone go through that, I think. And my mom was with me and just there to like support me. And what I started doing when I got in the bathtub, because they were more painful, I don't want to use that word, because for me it was just like intense. It wasn't like period pains. A lot of people say that period pains for me are horrible. I want to cry, I'm in bed, I'm in a ball, I'm like I'm really, really like, I can't tolerate them, I hate it so much. It wasn't like that for me. It was just like really intense sensations, and like I had to go inwards and kind of like disconnect from my body. So that's what I was telling you guys earlier. There's beta endorphins, or I don't know if I'm saying the name wrong, but they were really helping me like get out of my body and let my body do its thing. So I have a contraction in the bathtub. I was lying on my side and I had someone pressing this pressure point here really hard. So someone was pressing that during my contraction, and I was just breathing, like I told you guys, deep belly breaths through my contraction, moaning through it. And then I was okay, and I was chatting with my mom, my sister, and it was really, really like, it's such a good memory for me. I love it. My cat too was with us. She was freaking out, poor baby. She was like, every time I had a contraction, she was coming up to the bathtub and climbing on top. A funny story, at some point my partner, I was like, okay, give me hot water. I'm gonna empty the bath. The water is getting cold. Put some hot water in. And then a contraction was coming on, and when they come on, I need to be in my bubble. So when I felt them coming on, because you know it's coming. It's not like bam out of the blue, like it's coming slowly. So I was like, okay, it's coming. So I was closing my eyes trying to get ready, and he wasn't putting the hot water on enough, and the contraction was coming really quickly. And I was like, put the water on. It's the only time I got mad. I'm like, oh my God, you're not turning it fast enough. It has to be quicker. So that's the only time I got really mad, and I was like, please give me hot water right now, because that's soothing. So hot water was really soothing, and it was soothing for me to be in the water because it was slowing down my contractions. So my doula, I had to tell her when I wanted her to come, and so I was like, oh, I think I'm good. Like, it was going so well, and I felt so surrounded and supported by my mom, my sister, my boyfriend. So I was like, I don't need her right now. At one point I'm like, okay, maybe I should tell her to come. So we text her to come. She got, I think, stuck in traffic, so she was like, at one point I was like, okay, is she coming? Like, I felt like I needed her support, and I needed her to like tell me if she thought that I was like almost needing to go to the hospital, or if I was to stay at home a little bit more. So she was not getting there, and I was like, oh my God, okay, I really need her to come. And finally, like, at a point where I was like, okay, I need her here. Like, I need to know. Like, I don't know enough. I don't know if I've progressed. I feel like I've progressed a lot. Like, I think we were at 3 minutes by that point, which is like 3 minutes between contractions. And that was my goal, was to stay at home as long as I thought possible, as I could. My water had not broken yet. So finally she gets there, and I'm like, I know you just got here, but I feel like I need to go to the hospital. And she's like, okay, like, you have to listen to yourself. You have to know, like, you know if you need to go. But she told me, like, even if you decide to go, just know that it's like, we know that it's busy. I have a friend that works as a nurse at the hospital, and she told me like it was crazy busy, but she's like, you need to know that if you go there and you're not dilated enough, they might make you wait there. So you might have to continue your labor like in a waiting room for in the pregnancy ward. And I was like, okay, but I think, like, I'm aware and I know that maybe I'll have to labor there, and I wanted to labor at home as much as possible, but I really think I should go. And I get up out of the water, and oh my God, like, that changed my contractions, because now I didn't have the water supporting me anymore. So as soon as I got out of the tub, they were really intense contractions, and they sped up, like, came even more closer together. And at this point, like, I got surprised again, but she was there with me, and so she did pressure points, but at the bottom of my back. So there's 2 pressure points at the bottom of your back, and the person that does it to you needs to like press with their thumbs and like squeeze you like this, like your hips, and it's really, really, really helpful. Like, it helped me so much. That was like next level. So all the contractions at first were here. Every contraction, I had someone pressing my pressure point. And then my lower back, my doula did it for the first time. She taught my boyfriend, and then he was doing it for me. So then we had to drive to the hospital. I'm 30 minutes away from our hospital. Start to get ready. I'm like having contractions. Then I'm telling my boyfriend, okay, these things we need. My bag is there. This is there. Do we have that? Like, I was fully aware, conscious there, like super like high energy between my contractions. When I was in my contractions, I was fully going in and going into my bubble and like not talking to anyone, closing my eyes, doing my breathing, having someone press on my pressure points, like they had to press on them, like press harder. And yeah, so I was really fully in my bubble, and between my contractions I was fully there, fully conscious. It was really, really cool to see. Like, my boyfriend, it's something that he was amazed at, is that he's like, okay, after birth and during birth, like between your contractions, you were so there, so present. It was so cool to see. We get in 2 cars. So my boyfriend's driving one, my doula's with me doing my pressure points, because I had contractions obviously to get to the hospital in the car. That was intense, but she was with me, and she was also massaging me with, I think it's like, I feel like it's not cinnamon oil. I'll find the name and I'll put it in the description, because it was so soothing. And I didn't even see the moon that night, but we were driving. There was no one. It was nighttime at this point. So it was around, I think it was around like 10 p.m. and it was dark, and it was like the next day after a full moon, the pink full moon. So it was so beautiful. My boyfriend and my doula were like saying how beautiful it was. I was like head down, back seat, not tied, on my knees, like in my doula's lap. So that's something else that I did, is I fully surrendered. I'm the type of person who usually wants to take care of herself or take care of others. I don't want people taking care of me, but for birth, I let everyone take care of me. My doula, like, of course I know her, I met her a couple times before giving birth, but she's not my family. And I was fully laying down, holding her legs, like in my contractions, fully releasing and just being taken care of. So I was letting people take care of me during my labor, and that was amazing. And at the hospital too, so I'll explain that when we get there. But we get to the hospital, and literally I get out of the car, and I, like, every 5 steps, so when I got to my car to leave for the hospital, and when I was getting from the hospital, from the car to the hospital, like every 5 to 10 steps I had to stop, and I had a contraction. And every time I had a contraction again, I felt like I needed to go forward, so I was leaning forward, listening to my body, letting my belly hang down. Someone was doing pressure points on my lower back and my breathing, all that stuff. So you get the gist. So we were stopping like at so many places. Another funny anecdote is that at one point there's a garbage, and for me I was like, garbage, it's the perfect height. Like, I don't care that it's a garbage, I'm in labor, I just need the perfect height for me. So the garbage, I would like lay down, my boyfriend's like, no, it's a garbage, it's nasty. I'm like, I don't care, it's the perfect height, like just do my pressure points. So I would lean on the garbage. Then inside I would find counters that were like the good heights that I wanted, because I'm tall, so I wanted to be bent over but not too much. So I was just leaning over everywhere doing my contractions. I get into the hospital, and then I got a little bit stressed. I saw people and I knew I had a contraction coming on, and I didn't want to do it in front of them. So I tell my boyfriend, oh my god, no, I don't want a contraction here. I started freaking out, and he's like, Hope, it doesn't matter, we don't care, you're in labor, I'm here for you, don't worry, I got you. And that really helped me, okay, get back in the zone. Doesn't matter whoever sees me, it's natural, I'm in labor, it's okay. He really helped me like refocus, and he took care of me, did my pressure points, and we kept on our way. So we get to the counter in the I say pregnancy ward, but I don't know if that's what it's called. Anyways, the birthing ward or whatever. We get to their counter, and again, between my contractions, I could fully speak to them. I was happy, I was in such a good mood. Like, I swear, I was so happy, I don't even know why. Like, at this point, we're almost to the end of our labor. When I got to the hospital, they checked me. I was at 7 centimeters. So that's like really close to the to pushing. So 10 centimeters is pushing. So like, yeah, I was at 7 centimeters at the hospital when I got there, but I was able to like lean on their counter, do my contraction, tell them information, tell them 1 second, have another contraction. Like, I was really working through it with my partner, and it was really, really cool. And they were like, oh my god, you're such in a good mood, like everything's going so well. I really tried to keep my mindset like positive, and my boyfriend was doing that for me and helping me as well. So that's it for like getting to the hospital. I get there, they check me, they see that I'm at 7 centimeters. They're like, okay, we need to get you a room ASAP, like right now. So they get me a room, and they checked me. So they knew that I wanted to give birth naturally, so they checked me with like, I think did they put them on me? Yeah, I think they put something on your belly, and they check you, like they check your vitals to make sure that everything's going well, and to see that your contractions are going well as well, and to time them. So they checked them, and so those contractions were like the most uncomfortable, because again, like I felt better in water. Now I was outside of water, and they were really intense and harder to get like breathe through, and they were just more intense to like live through. And so I was doing those, like again laying forward, and they had placed the bed for me, so that was really sweet. But when I was getting to the room, all these things, like those were the most uncomfortable contractions, because I wasn't fully in the environment that I needed to have a good contraction. And so they checked me, and then the nurse was the sweetest. Oh my god, all the nurses we had were amazing, but like the first nurse, she was so sweet. She set everything up for me, and then she actually left. So she checked my vitals, she saw that I was okay. She told me, okay, your heartbeat's okay, your baby's heartbeat is great, so you can continue laboring without being monitored like all the time, because you want natural birth. So they were allowing me to move around, and they were going to check me with the Doppler unless the baby's heart was not doing well, and then they would put me on constant tracking or checking or whatever it's called. I don't have the terms, I'm so sorry again. So they told me it's okay, everything. Then the nurse we had at first, she sets us up in the room, she switches out with another nurse, and the other nurse is like, okay, let's get you in the bathtub. Like, I told her that that's what I was doing at home, and she's like, do you want to be in the water again? And I was like, yeah, I do. So she put me in the water again. It's not a birthing tub because it's a hospital tub, but it was like really comfortable still, because I was lying down on my side and I fit in the tub. And I was also on my knees at some point, like in the tub, like doing my contractions. I was getting my boyfriend to do my pressure points, and at this point, like he needed to press really hard. Like I was like, harder, like I really needed that assistance, and I needed him to press really hard. And the nurse was like with us as well, but she was letting us do our thing. Like she wasn't like in our bubble. She was letting us do our thing. And at one point she's like, okay, I can put saline in your pressure points so that like it brings more dopamine, so your boyfriend can stop using his thumbs to like help you, because that's like it's gonna hurt him at some point. So I'm like, okay, I start getting up to like consider this and see if I want this intervention, because I didn't want interventions, but for me that was like natural, so I was like, oh, I'll consider it. And so I get up and then I feel a really strong contraction coming on, and I'm like, okay, no, give me a second. I go back down on my hands and knees. I go to put my head like anywhere because I needed support, so I was gonna bang it against like the what's it called, the le robinet, I can't say it. And she put like right when I was gonna put my forehead down there, she put like a towel down so I wouldn't hit myself. And I had the most intense contraction where at this one my whole body like went like crazy, and everything just like, I felt like a release, and then pop, I hear pop, and they told me it would sound like that, and my water had broken. So I was like, oh my god, I just had this contraction and I heard my water break. I'm sure it's broken, like my water broke. So in true birth story videos, the baby's there. So of course my baby woke up and I went to get him, and now he's breastfeeding. Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna finish my story quickly. Basically now what we're at is like my water breaking. So my water broke at the end. So at this point it's maybe like 11 p.m. I guess, so 1 hour after being at the hospital, which is amazing. So that's why I wanted to stay at home the longest, was to make sure that I was laboring at home, and then when I got to the hospital, like it was time to push, and that's how I wanted it to happen, which is so cool that it did. And also I'm so grateful because I was in labor during the day, so that means that I had full energy and I was like awake, and it was time to work and labor, because some people, they'll start laboring at night, so like 11-12 p.m. and then like it's in the middle of the night, so they have their full day in their body and they're tired, and it's like really hard to like be in labor at those times. And that's where like you'll lose your energy really quickly because you don't have that much energy to begin with, and then you'll end up taking the epidural, which is so fine. Like you really have to take into consideration everything. It's not just your tolerance for pain or like your mindset and all these things. It's also like, when is your labor going to start? How are you progressing? What's happening around you? Like there's so many factors that come into play. You really need to like go with your experience, go with the flow, be flexible, that you go out the window like I did, and just be loving on yourself and let people around you love on you and support you. So at this point my water breaks. The nurse is like, okay, you want to go try like start to push? And I'm like, what, I can start pushing like right now? She's like, yeah, I'm gonna check you. Like I think she checked me before saying that, and she was like, yeah, we can start pushing, like your water broke, we're at 10 centimeters, I'm pretty sure, because at that point they were checking me and I was progressing really well. So I think I was maybe 9 or 10, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I was 10. If not, they wouldn't say let's go push. So she's like, okay, let's go in the bed and we'll like set you up and we'll start pushing. So we go in the bed. I have my partner on one side and the nurse on the other, and they're like, okay, let's practice pushing. So before calling the doctor, they have you practicing. So they get me into like, they put the bed up like this, and I think it was like up like this. Anyways, I know I was in a squat position, but like half laying down. So the nurse and my boyfriend were each holding a leg, and they were like, okay, like this is how you're gonna push. And she was really helpful in the sense that she was like touching where I needed to push. So she was like, okay, I need to push through here. I can't speak because it's not like pushing to go to the washroom. That's like another hole. She's like, you need to push through here, concentrate all your energy here, and don't like, so I was pushing and she's like, don't like use your voice that much or sounds. So through my contractions I was using sound to relieve me. That really helps. So look into that if you need to for your contractions. But during pushing, she's like trying to make the least amount of noise possible because you want to direct all your energy towards that push. So we practiced pushing, and she's like, okay, we see the head. So she called reinforcements to come in and get ready because she knew that I was coming quickly. I think it took like 45 minutes, an hour max to push the baby out. Like it was really quick, really intense. And honestly, like that was the thing I was most scared about, was the pushing, because I was scared of the ring of fire. Like that was what I was most scared of. I was like, give me all the hours of contractions, but I'm really scared of what everyone calls the ring of fire. And finally my boyfriend was with me. He was like putting his forehead on mine and like talking to me. Like it helped me so much. He was like, okay, you can do this, you got this, come on. And he was helping me through my contractions to push. And what's really cool too is that we were doing guided, oh my god, I forgot all the terms, like mom brain. Guided pushing, in the sense that you're pushing with your contraction. You're not pushing when you don't have a contraction. You're really pushing and using your contraction to push your baby down, because that's what a contraction is. It's pushing your baby down, and you need to push at the same time as a contraction. So you're like doubling that energy instead of pushing when you don't have a contraction. So they were really cool. Like at the hospital, they were like, okay, like at the end of my contraction, they're like, okay, stop pushing. They would touch my stomach. They knew I wasn't hard anymore, so there was no contraction going on. So they're like, okay, stop pushing, take your breath, take time to breathe. So I was breathing between my contractions. I was speaking to my partner. It was really, really insane. It was such a cool experience. So the doctor arrives. They were like using hot water, using oil, and honestly, like for me, that sensation of the baby, like pushing the baby out, was nothing. Like it was so different than my contractions that I was happy to have that, in the sense that it had been maybe like 8 to 9 hours now that I was in contractions. So I was so glad that now I was pushing, and it was a different feeling. Even though it's intense too, I was glad it was a different feeling. And it was so motivating to know that I was almost gonna meet my Pooh Bear. Drink your milk, sir. So at this point, like the baby comes out in, and at some point he eloge, I don't have the term in English, he like the head stays stuck, so then it's ready to come out. And at that point the baby was there, the doctor was there, and the ring of fire is when the head like is in the vaginal like opening and it stays stuck, so then it's ready to come out afterwards. You have like 1 or 2 pushes after that, and usually you're good. So the baby was there at that point, and they're like, okay, like you got 1 or 2 pushes left, give it all you've got. So I did, and then I think the baby came out. I honestly, like, I swear I had nothing, no medication, and I did not feel it. Like, it didn't feel like the ring of fire. It didn't feel like, it didn't hurt. And the baby was halfway out, and they were like, okay, mama, grab your baby. I literally grabbed my baby and I put him on my chest. Craziest thing. That was not my birth plan, and I was so glad that they made me do that. So that happened, and then I had the baby on me. And one thing that's really interesting to say is that it's kind of a weird feeling, in the sense that you're like, what the hell? Like, that was inside of me, now it's on me. Like, you're so happy, you're in the moment, you're with your partner, you're like, you're crying and everything. But it is like a special feeling. Like, it is like, oh my god, what the hell? Like, it's a quick, like, out of you, on you, what? So I think that's important to mention. As a mom, it's okay to feel like a bit weirded out in the first seconds he's on you. You're happy, but you're also like, oh my god, what just happened? And yeah, after that I was like ready to go, ready to move. I tore maybe like, I think 1 degree, so I don't know, they stitched me up a little bit, but it was really great in that sense. And yeah, if you guys want to know, like for me it went really well, and then I had like my recovery after was really well, obviously because I had no intervention, so it changes your recovery. There's something else that I wanted to say before I stop this. There's so much to say, it's so interesting. If you have questions, write to me. I love talking about it. But the last thing I want to say is, yeah, obviously if you give birth naturally, like afterwards you have full of energy. There was also like a high for me where I had like a lot of adrenaline, and I needed to like calm down. Between. But if you guys have any questions, like, or you want to know more about like how I felt afterwards, because like that's another story, and how it is with baby after, like it'd be my pleasure to share more with you. So I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope it made sense. And again, ask me questions below if you have any. If you want more videos, I will do them. And it was so nice to talk to you. Bye.